Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Tech stocks are up right now and I wanted to go a little bit into detail as to why that might be and what I plan to do going forward when it comes to investing in a couple of these tech companies. But I wanted to give you guys a couple statistics from March 26th up until today, which is April 26th. Microsoft and Meta, they're up 13% this last month. Google's up 18%. Micron is up 25%. Nvidia's up 18%. Amazon's up 27%. Broadcom's up 32%. AMD's up 70%. And Palantir is down 7%, which is a riskier company that I personally invest in. This month has been crazy. My portfolio has definitely grown a lot this past week, I would say, because of this sharp growth. And I think that's been because of a lot of things that have been happening in the world and a lot of articles that have been published throughout this month saying that, hey, the AI demand's not there. Okay, now the AI demand is there. There's a situation going on with Iran and the US, right? Trump saying, okay, there's a ceasefire. Okay, the ceasefire may be lifted soon, or the ceasefire may get extended. Oil's gone up and then oil's dropped. So that's also fluctuated the market a little bit. And earning expectations are still rising with all these big companies. And that's more so because of what AI is doing to these companies and how all these companies kind of promise that, hey, we're working on big AI products and projects. So just give us some time and we plan to give you guys a product that you guys will enjoy. And that's what I think is going on with some of these bigger companies like Google, Microsoft, and obviously OpenAI, which hasn't gone public yet. But all these big companies, they rely on those chips, right? Memory, storage, power for these databases to get built. The future is definitely looking a bit green, but at the same time, you can't play all your cards at once. You have to strategically plan out how you're going to spend your money in these next couple months because to be honest, a lot of these companies are hitting 52-week highs or surpassing them. So that's something to be aware of. If we're looking at 52-week highs from what I'm tracking out of the companies I said earlier, Microsoft is still down 23%, Meta's still down 15%, and Palantir is still down a whopping 31%. What I'm still doing is I'm still investing somewhat heavily in those three companies, whereas the other companies, I'm still investing, but I'm not throwing all my eggs in one basket when it comes to these companies. I'm definitely playing the long game with these companies because a lot of these companies are definitely priced at a very high price. And whether or not that's the price it should be priced at, it's not up to me, right? And it's definitely something that I haven't done enough research in. But I know that if I stick to my rules and I stick to my game plan, I think I will reap the benefits in the long run. Yeah, these are the companies that I wanted to talk a little bit about, and I wanted to not necessarily talk about them in general and what each company is doing, but I want to tell you what I'm doing when it comes to investing in these companies. So, there's three ways I could go about this. I could either put all my eggs in one basket. I could do a lump sum. I could dollar cost average between all the companies since a majority of them are at, I'd say, all-time highs right now. Or I could hold. I could just sit on the sidelines and I could wait. I think a majority of people right now, they could be possibly collecting their profits, which is why I think in the next couple of weeks, all these stocks may drop a little bit. But at the same time, these companies can continue to rise. And I've seen that with my own eyes when Nvidia was at its peak a couple years ago, or Supermicro was hitting that peak, or even Microsoft, Google, stuff like that. And I just sat on the sidelines. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy when it hits a certain price, right? I'm going to wait it out. But what happened? It just kept going up. So I'm personally not going to hold. I'm not going to hold off on buying any of these companies. I'm still going to invest in all of them, right? My goal is to create like my own personal ETF. So that way, there's no expense ratios being paid. I can manage each company. I can buy and sell if I need to. But at the end of the day, I'm a long-term investor, so I'm playing the long game. So I don't expect me to sell anything unless a certain company takes off exponentially. The next thing I could do is I could lump sum, right? I could put a large amount of money into some of these stocks, and I could be like, you know what? I'm going to go all in because it's going up, right? I'm looking at AMD, for example, and that thing's just kept going up. 70% in a month is definitely a huge statement. But at the same time, I've been watching AMD closely these past couple years, and I understand that AMD is very volatile. So all it takes is one news article to come out, and bam, the stock's going to drop once again. So I personally don't think that lump summing is the best option as of right now. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just here to give you information on what I'm going to personally do. I'm not a financial advisor. So you could take this with a grain of salt. If you're like, oh, I'm going to go all in, or oh, I'm going to sit on the sidelines, you do you, boo. I've had that lump sum scenario before, and I could definitely release a video on that. I would say the top 3 mistakes I made, or the worst mistakes I made when it came to investing. And to this day, I'm still waiting for a couple of these companies to go up. It definitely drained my pockets a little bit. But I still have faith in those companies, but it's just going to take a long time, in my opinion, for those companies to get back to where they were before. And the third method I would say is dollar cost averaging. This is something that I'm going to do, and it's something I believe in based off of what I'm seeing right now with some of these tech stocks, specifically those stocks that have either gone back to their 52-week high or companies that have surpassed their 52-week high. I'm talking about Nvidia, AMD, Amazon, Google, a couple of those companies, Micron, some of those companies. We're getting to a point to where it's reaching its 52-week high or potentially surpassing it. And my rule is, okay, I need to invest a little bit less in those companies, because I'd rather invest less and lose less than put everything I got in it and lose it all. I've learned from my mistakes, and I think that's what's important. Understanding and teaching yourself, okay, my goal is to not lose money, right? My goal is to stay in the green and to constantly be consistent and to learn from my mistakes. That is why I'm personally dollar cost averaging. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say if I invest $100 each month into Google, and I've been doing that consistently over the past couple months, and Google hits a massive growth spike of this 18% that I'm now seeing. Instead of investing 10%, what I'll do instead is I'll probably cut that down to about maybe half. Also, I'll invest 5% of what I normally put into Google, or 6 or 7, but I'm never going to go back to 10 until I notice a substantial change in the original price. So if the price dips a little bit, okay, then I'll increase how much I put into a company. And I'm doing this because of what I've experienced in the stock market over the past couple years, because I do invest in individual stocks. I'm not an ETF guy. I don't do options. I'm a very patient, I'm a very emotionless person when it comes to the market. So yeah, that is kind of what I plan to do. Dollar cost average these 9 companies that I talked about today. I still diversify. I think that's important as well. I think it's important to diversify. So I don't just invest in these 9 companies. I try to have a balance, right? So when I think about AI, I think about memory, drives, software, energy that powers these semiconductors, chips. So I think about all that stuff. So there's a couple energy companies I invest in. Energy's been doing great this year. I have a little bit of risk in there with the Palantir, or some might even say AMD. And I'm still kind of putting a little bit into cybersecurity. Not too much, but if you look at CrowdStrike and Palo Alto, they're still down from the 52-week high. They're still down about 20%. So I'm still putting a little bit here and there in those companies as well, because I personally don't think that AI will completely overtake everything that cybersecurity does. But I could be wrong, and that's fine. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will continue to pump out content. I just got back from Portugal. It was great. Check out Faro if you get the chance. Lovely city. I will continue to pump out content. I definitely want to share with you guys my biggest L's I've taken and the biggest gains I currently have right now in my portfolio. And then obviously in August, I'm going to hit you guys up with a portfolio report. And hopefully I'm in the green, right? Everybody likes green. But have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching my video. Like and subscribe. Join the equilibrium, and I'm here to take you to the moon. So put on your seatbelt and let's go.